Good morning. It's Tuesday, April 18th, and we are going to head down to the boat today and paint the bottom. All right, we've made it to the marina. The wind's blowing, and one of the things that just drives me crazy is people that don't tie their halyards down. Can you hear them clanking all around me? I imagine if they do it on the hard, they probably do it when they're in the marina as well. And that's one of those things that, I don't know, it just drives me nuts. So anyway, on a much more positive note, here we are. And today what we're going to be doing is some bottom paint. So I'll go over the products that I use and why I use them and the prep work that I do. So let me get changed and we'll go after this job. All right, guys, I'm all dressed and ready to prep the boat to paint the bottom. Before I do that, I just want to go over a few of the products that I'm going to be using. On the Great Lakes, a lot of people, and I have up until this year, have used a product called VC17. I went to West Marine today and I picked up FW21. And it's the exact same thing as VC17, but it's their brand. And you save $10 a quart. So, you know, I saved $20. I talked to them. They said it sticks to VC17. Apparently it works the same. So, $20 is $20, right? So it comes packaged like this. And then what you do, the great and the bad thing about working with a product like this is it dries really quickly. So, you take the magnesium powder and the bronze and you mix that in with the paint. Take your stir stick, stir it up, and if you wanted to, you could pour it into a paint can and roll it. The problem is because it dries so quickly, I would end up having to go through 3 quarts of paint if I did it that way. So what I've come up with, and a few of my friends, what we do is after we've mixed all the product together and stirred it up thoroughly, then what we do, I went to what's called a dollar store around here, and this cost me $3. I take the product, put a funnel in, pour the product directly into the water bottle, and by keeping it airtight, it's not drying quickly. So what I do is I then take my roller and directly apply the product to the roller and put it on. I found in doing this, I can get the whole bottom painted with 2 quarts as opposed to 3. So anyway, this is what I have invested in bottom paint. This came to $120 for the 2 quarts, and I had about $25 at a local drugstore for the roller, a cheap paintbrush, and some tape, and $3 here. So minimal investment, and it usually lasts me about 2 years. When we go outside, I'll explain to you how often I put the bottom paint on and what determines that. Okay, so every year when I take the boat out of the water, they power wash all the slime off the bottom. And my telltale sign, whether or not I need to redo the V17, or in this case we're using West Marine's product, is whether or not I start to see epoxy barrier coat showing through. So when you look at the rudder, this is a great example. Wow, I went downhill for a minute there. Sorry about the stagger. But you can see the rudder, all the V17 has worn off with the power washer, so that means it's time to get it done. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is preparing the bottom of the boat. It's freshly washed and dried. So now I'm applying the tape. I use a little bit thicker tape, so what I've found is it doesn't bend as easily. So what I do is I just tear off about 1 to 2 foot sections at a time. And as long as you overlap them all in the same direction, after you're done painting, when you go to peel this tape off, it peels off in one nice long strip. So I won't bore you with watching me do all of that work. So let's get right to mixing the product. All right, I'm going to show you guys how I mix the products up. I have everything set up. To make things a little bit easier, I already cut the bag open on the powder. That's really messy. Everything it touches will have this color the rest of the year. This was from last year. So just opening up the can. Stir the remaining product in, mix it really well. When I have this mixed, I'll pour it in the squirt bottle. I'll be able to apply it to the roller, and again, this dries quickly, and that's why I prefer to use the spray bottle, or squirt bottle rather, as opposed to putting it in a pan. I'll mix this up and we'll get paint. Okay, so I have the boat all cut. You can see, and I got it down around the keel. So now all I have to do is roll it out and she'll be done. So once I've cut the boat in, grabbing the roller, it just rolls on pretty easily. So I'll get to that and I'll show you the finished product. All right, it's a little bit dark out, so it's a little harder to see the finished product, but you can see no more epoxy barrier coat showing through. And I should be good for about 2 years. Next week is splash day. Can't wait. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that video on how I paint the bottom of my boat every season or two as needed. One of the things I'd like to talk about that I'm going to start introducing when the weather gets a little bit warmer is something that I call rounding the lighthouse. That's what the title will be every time I do this particular video. And what it's going to be is once a month, because my channel is a sailing channel and I really want to focus on sailing. But if I'm totally honest with myself, I've noticed the channels that get the biggest amount of hits are the ones that show girls in bikinis. So fortunately, what I do for a living is I'm a hairdresser, and some of the people I work with will suit that bill beautifully, and they're looking forward to doing it. So basically, where I came up with the idea of rounding the lighthouse is anytime you round, say, Cape Horn, it's a major ordeal. So rounding the lighthouse is kind of a humorous take on rounding like the Cape Horn. And then where a time or two comes in is from another statement that's like, I've been around the block a time or two. So I'm sort of merging those two ideas together and coming up with this humorous take. So it's, I've rounded the house, the lighthouse rather, a time or two with Scott Flick Sailing. So there's going to be swag for the girls when they do it. They'll have little hats that say Scott Flick Sailing, and they'll have the Scott Flick Sailing shirt. And when they round it, I give them the swag, and it will say, I rounded the lighthouse a time or two. So, I don't know. I think it'll be fun to do. Again, I know those types of videos really help out your channel. So, that's coming up. Again, there'll be one of those a month. The rest of the videos I make will be strictly sailing. So, you know, because again, there's so many exciting things to check out in the Great Lakes with all the different little islands. But yeah, so that's coming up. See you guys next week. Again, if you like what you saw, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share the video because I really appreciate it, guys. See you next week.